The morning
Let's get
sun
this
rose
packed up.
over Mount Silver Fir like a silent
Push it
witness,
down in there.
painting the
It's in,
snow
zip
in
it.
pale
Done.
gold while a father sat alone in his shadowed backyard, staring at the mountain that had devoured his wife and daughter 7 years earlier. Jakob Leitner, once the proud steward of the family's ski resort his grandfather carved from wilderness, now lived as a ghost among empty bottles and unanswered prayers. Annalise and 10-year-old Lena had vanished on a routine weekend trip, belongings neatly folded in room 306, hot chocolate mugs still warm on the lodge table, ski boots standing side by side as though their owners had simply stepped out for one more run. Search teams scoured every slope, ravine, and abandoned cabin for months. Helicopters thumped overhead. Cadaver dogs combed frozen earth. Volunteers linked arms in human chains across avalanche fields. Nothing. No footprints, no blood. No sign they had ever left the groomed trails. The resort, built on 3 generations of Leitner sweat and dreams, became a mausoleum of memories, its lifts still turning, its fireplaces still crackling, while Jakob retreated into alcohol and accusation. 7 years later, in the spring of 2032, a group of backcountry hikers, certified avalanche instructors conducting Forbidden Zone training, stumbled upon a red child's hoodie wedged beneath fallen branches near Raven Shelf, a restricted, deadly drop-off closed to the public since the 1990s after multiple fatalities. 20 meters away, half buried under pine needles and rockfall, lay a custom-tailored man's winter jacket bearing bloodstains later matched to Annalise Leitner. That single improbable discovery, triggered by a trainee's eye-catching unnatural red against white snow, ripped open a wound the mountain had tried to seal forever, exposing not an accident or a random tragedy, but a calculated betrayal woven into the very fabric of trust, family, and community. This is the true inspired story of grooming disguised as mentorship, of a predator who hid in the open as the beloved ski instructor, of a father who had to lose everything twice before he could begin to reclaim what remained. Advanced vocabulary note. Mausoleum, a large tomb or burial place, here used metaphorically for a place frozen in grief. Idiom rip open a wound, to reopen old pain violently, emphasizing sudden, raw revelation. Historically, the narrative echoes real 1990s, 2010s cases of long-term child abductions by trusted authority figures, such as the J.C. Dugard kidnapping by Philip Garrido, discovered in 2009 after 18 years, or grooming scandals in youth sports programs exposed during the 2010s Larry Nassar revelations, where isolation, psychological manipulation, and community blindness allowed predators to operate for years. Philosophically, it confronts us with Hannah Arendt's banality of evil, how ordinary people, even admired ones, can commit monstrous acts when normalized within their daily roles. In English learning, observe how the opening uses sensory contrast, golden sun versus shadowed backyard, pale gold snow versus red hoodie, to create immediate emotional tension, a technique called juxtaposition that heightens drama and invites deeper reader empathy. As Jakob Leitner clutched Lena's faded red hoodie through the evidence bag, tears freezing on his cheeks in the mountain wind, he understood that some truths arrive too late to save us, but never too late to change us forever. What buried part of your own past still waits for the right eyes to see it, and what courage will it demand when it finally surfaces? 7 years earlier, the weekend began with ordinary joy. Annalise Leitner kissed her husband goodbye in their Silver Grove kitchen, promising photos from the new intermediate slope and reminding him to rest his sprained ankle. 10-year-old Lena bounced on her toes, calendar already marked with glitter stickers counting down to ski weekend with mommy. Jakob, propped on the couch with ice and elevation, waved them off with a pang he dismissed as missing out on fun rather than premonition. They arrived at Silver Fir Resort, 3rd floor suite 306 overlooking the main runs, checked in with Margaret at the desk who hugged Lena like family, then headed straight to the lifts. Saturday's photos flooded Jakob's phone. Mother and daughter in matching helmets, Lena's parallel turns improving visibly, hot chocolate mustaches in the lodge cafe, the mountain majestic and indifferent behind them. He texted heart emojis, "Have fun, my loves," and fell asleep to the sound of wind rattling the windows. Sunday morning, his good morning message sat undelivered. By noon, calls went straight to voicemail. By 3:47 p.m., panic crystallized into action. He phoned the resort, then security, then sheriff's dispatch. Within hours, the resort became command central. Yellow tape around the parking lot, K9 units sniffing room 306, ski patrols sweeping every groomed run and off-piste glade. The community responded with heartbreaking speed. Church groups organized food drives for searchers. Local businesses donated gear. High school cross-country teams formed human chains across avalanche-prone bowls. Jakob hobbled on crutches to the incident trailer, answering the same questions repeatedly. No enemies, no custody disputes, no recent arguments, no signs of distress in the last photos. Detectives examined security footage, grainy black and white showing Annalise and Lena boarding the Silver Queen lift at 9:14 a.m. Saturday, laughing, then nothing. They never exited at the top station on camera. Searchers found Lena's mitten near the tree line above Raven's Shelf, impossibly far from any marked trail, then lost the scent in wind-scoured snow. Weeks turned to months, hope calcified into grim determination. Jakob sold personal assets to fund private helicopters equipped with FLIR. He walked every trail himself despite the ankle that never fully healed. Emotionally, he oscillated between frantic optimism, she's injured, waiting in a snow cave, and crushing despair, they're gone, and it's my fault, I should have gone. Philosophically, this phase embodies Viktor Frankl's teaching from Man's Search for Meaning. Even when external freedom is stripped away, one retains the last of human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any circumstance. Jakob chose relentless search over surrender. Historically, the mobilization mirrored the 1996 JonBenet Ramsey case's massive but fruitless early response and the 2002 Elizabeth Smart abduction, where community searches failed until unexpected breaks years later. In English learning, notice the paragraph's temporal layering, short, clipped sentences for the frantic Sunday, by noon, by 3:47. Within hours, contrasted with longer, reflective passages for Jakob's inner world, creating a rhythm that mirrors grief's erratic pulse. Idiom, calcified into grim determination, hardened like bone, implying unyielding but painful resolve. Modern relevance. Today's ski resorts use RFID lift passes, real-time GPS tracking apps for families, and mandatory check-in protocols at backcountry gates, small technological and policy shifts born from cases exactly like this one. As winter thawed into spring without answers, Jakob stood at the base of Raven's Shelf, barricaded, sign reading, extreme danger, NO entry, and whispered to the wind, I will find you both, even if it takes the rest of my life. When the world tells you hope is foolish, how stubbornly will you continue to believe? 7 years of anniversaries pass like slow-motion funerals. Each February, Jakob hiked alone to the resort's overlook, laid 2 white roses, one for Annalise, one for Lena, beside the trail sign, and spoke their names into the silence. The resort limped along under Margaret's steady hand. Jakob became a recluse, drinking in the backyard while unpaid bills piled beside sympathy cards whose ink had faded. The mountain took on mythic proportions in his mind, sometimes protector, sometimes devourer. He accused it daily. You swallowed them whole. Meanwhile, Matthias Brandt, the resort star instructor, quietly expanded his classes. Parents requested him by name for their shy daughters. He built confidence with patient words and gentle hands-on corrections. No complaint surfaced. His reputation remained spotless. Then came the October morning in 2032, when Avalanche trainees found the red hoodie. Jakob's helicopter ride to Raven's Shelf felt like descending into memory's underworld. He identified Lena's garment instantly, the embroidered heart Annalise sewed, the sleeve repair from a fence snag. The custom jacket 20 meters away triggered something deeper. He had seen it before, in an old album photo of Matthias kneeling beside 8-year-old Lena during ski school. Same distinctive seams, same unusual pocket placements. At the resort conference room, staff studied the jacket. No one recalled it from 7 years ago. Jakob watched Matthias's advanced class from the equipment shed, noticed the prolonged touches on female students' hips, thighs, lower backs, felt unease bloom into suspicion. Later, in the basement storage room, he discovered a snowboard boot with a miniature upward-facing camera embedded in the ankle cuff. The device was dead, but the SD card remained. In the Miner's Rest Tavern, he saw a recent photo of Matthias with a black-haired teenage girl, his adopted daughter, the bartender said. Alarm bells rang louder. When Matthias canceled their planned dinner with strained excuses, Jakob confronted him at home. The fight erupted after Jakob produced the camera. Matthias swung a snowboard, confessed in rage that he had taken them, killed Annelies, groomed Lena into believing Jakob had abandoned them. Lena, now 17, hair dyed, mind reshaped, stood beside Matthias in the town park, reciting his lies. You weren't there. He protected me. The physical confrontation ended with police intervention. Matthias arrested, Lena taken to hospital. Emotionally, Jakob experienced the second shattering. Reunion without recognition, love twisted into allegiance to the abuser. Philosophically, it illustrates Nietzsche's warning about gazing into the abyss. The longer Jakob searched the darkness, the more it stared back, reshaping his daughter in its image. Historically, this mirrors the 2013 Ariel Castro Cleveland kidnappings, 3 women held 10+ years by a neighbor, and the grooming tactics exposed in the UK's Rotherham child sexual exploitation scandal, 1997 to 2013, where trusted community figures exploited systemic blind spots. In English learning, study the escalating sentence length during the confrontation scene. Short punches of dialogue, you took them. Someplace you'll never find them. Building to longer, anguished revelations, mirroring how suppressed truth erupts in overwhelming waves. Idiom. Alarm bells rang. Sudden strong feeling that something is wrong. Modern relevance. Mandatory reporter training. Background checks for youth instructors. Anonymous tip lines. Body-worn cameras on patrol officers. All responses to predators who exploit trust in recreational and educational settings. When the person you trusted most reveals themselves as the monster, how do you begin to trust your own judgment again? In the hospital's sterile quiet, Jakob waited outside Lena's room while forensic psychologists and trauma specialists worked. She refused visitors, especially him. Dr. Patel explained Stockholm Syndrome's layers. Captor as sole source of safety, reality reframed to protect the psyche, guilt transferred to the rescuer. Jakob sat vigil, replaying every moment he might have noticed Matthias's fixation earlier. Detective Harrison's updates arrived in fragments. Annelies remains located in a ravine below Raven's shelf, blunt force trauma consistent with ski pole assault. Matthias's cabin, unpermitted, off-grid, underground rooms soundproofed, yielded journals detailing his obsession with Lena since she was 7, plans to rescue her from Jakob's neglect. SD cards from the resort storage, and his home contained thousands of covert videos, upward angles capturing girls and women on lifts, slopes, lodges. A dark web customer list led to dozens of arrests across 3 states. Parents of former students called the tip line. Some recalled unease, but dismissed it because Matthias was so good with the kids. Lena's first words to Jakob, days later with a counselor present. I thought you didn't want us. The sentence gutted him. He answered softly, every day I wanted you more than anything. Therapy began. EMDR for trauma processing, art sessions where Lena drew black-haired girls standing beside tall men in ski jackets. Jakob attended parallel sessions, confronting his guilt. The ankle that kept him home, the resort that became Matthias's hunting ground, the friendship he never questioned. Emotionally, he moved from rage to sorrow to tentative hope. Philosophically, the story teaches Carl Rogers's person-centered principle. Healing requires unconditional positive regard, even for the self that failed. Historically, it parallels the long recovery arcs of survivors like Elizabeth Smart, rescued 2003 after 9 months, and Natasha Kampusch, escaped 2006 after 8 years, both of whom rebuilt identity through therapy and advocacy. In English learning, notice the use of dialogue fragments in therapy scenes. I thought you didn't want us. Every day, I wanted you more. Conveying emotional weight through what is left unsaid, a technique called ellipsis that trusts the reader to feel the silence. Idiom. Gutted him. Devastated emotionally, as though stabbed in the stomach. Modern relevance. Trauma-informed care in schools and sports programs, survivor-led advocacy groups, digital forensics units dedicated to dark web content. All tools now routinely deployed because cases like this force systemic change. When love has been poisoned by manipulation, how patiently will you sit beside the healing, refusing to rush what only time and truth can mend? Years later, the resort still stands, lifts turning, fireplaces crackling, but Jakob walks its halls differently, present, watchful, protective. Lena, now in her 20s, lives nearby. Therapy continues. Trust rebuilds slowly. She skis again, but only on beginner runs, always with Jakob or a trusted friend nearby. They speak of Annalise often, lighting candles on anniversaries, sharing memories Matthias could never erase. The red hoodie, cleaned, framed, hangs in Lena's room, no longer a symbol of loss but of survival. Jakob established the Annalise and Lena Leitner Foundation, grants for trauma therapy, safety training for youth sports instructors, anonymous reporting apps for grooming concerns. Matthias died in prison. Natural causes, the official report said, yet his shadow lingers in every overly familiar touch, every too perfect compliment. Emotionally, Jakob found peace not in forgetting, but in purposeful remembering. Philosophically, the journey closes with Lao Tzu's wisdom. The soft overcomes the hard. The gentle overcomes the rigid. Jakob's gentleness, refusing to kill Matthias in the park, waiting outside Lena's hospital room, listening without demanding, became the force that cracked open healing. Historically, this echoes the post-2018 USA gymnastics reforms after Nasser, where survivor voices reshaped institutional culture. In English learning, the closing uses metaphor layering, shadow lingers, cracked open healing, purposeful remembering, to convey complex emotional states with poetic economy. Idiom. Peace not in forgetting but in purposeful remembering, finding serenity through intentional engagement with pain rather than denial. Modern relevance. Every ski resort now requires annual safeguarding certification for instructors. Every parent asks about supervision policies. Every child learns no secrets from mom and dad. Small, cumulative safeguards born from one family's unimaginable loss. The mountain still looms, indifferent and eternal, but it no longer owns them. They walk its trails together now, hand in hand, proving that what was taken can, piece by painful piece, be reclaimed. When the worst has happened and the monster is gone, what daily acts of gentleness will you choose to rebuild the world that remains?